your truck, and your road to success in the trucking industry. This is Trucking Business and Beyond, the show that puts the money where it belongs, back in your pocket.
Welcome to my world. I'm your host, Kevin Rutherford. The website is letstruck.com. The show is all about the business of trucking, and today is Destination Health. My co-host, Kim Cockerham, is here with me. We'll take your calls and answer your questions about everything health. Food, fitness, nutrition, diet, lifestyle, exercise, drugs, disease, training, you name it. We'll talk about it. All you have to do is pick up the phone and ask the question. We're going to get to those questions in just a little bit. Kim, welcome.
Hi, glad to be here, Kevin.
Yeah, at the end of the last show we did, we had a caller who had some real sleep issues, and this is an area that I've been focused on for, about a year now, and really intensely for about 6 months, and I've talked about it, and we're nowhere near really understanding sleep yet, but I think the bigger lesson was she had some other compounding factors, some brain tumors that they've had to operate on. Who knows what's going on, in a case like that? That's clearly a case where we need pretty in-depth medical knowledge. Unfortunately, the traditional medical community won't work to solve this problem. They'll only work to find drugs to fix the symptoms, which is what they were already doing. And, they had her on some pretty heavy-duty medications, and doesn't seem like there was any real attempt to, come off of those at any time, like that was the final answer. And my recommendation was a functional medicine doctor. And a couple years ago, I would have had no idea what that even meant. But it's a growing area now. You and I follow a couple functional medicine doctors, Dr. Mark Hyman. There's several that have, I think they've really brought us the best of both worlds. They have that deep, understanding of the human body. They have all of the medical training. They understand in depth how the systems of the body work. And yet they believe, like you and I believe, that the body will heal itself. We don't need drugs. We need good nutrition. We need some lifestyle changes. And most of these diseases and problems will fix themselves then. So, I don't want people to just think that that's just some term that we throw out, functional medicine doctor. It's a very clear, specific definition. And I think that nutrition and food can solve most people's problems. But when you get to a true medical issue, this is where I would go every time. And if I had to travel across the country to find a good one, if I had a problem like that, I would do it.
Yeah, and you know what? I wish she had said she was in Pennsylvania, so maybe if they catch the show or something, that I'm just thinking if they are on the west side of Pennsylvania, I would absolutely go and catch Mark Hyman, in
Yes.
Cleveland Clinic.
Yeah, right there
it's
at the
so
Cleveland
worth
Clinic.
the drive over there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. This is a growing trend, a good growing trend, that doctors who have all that medical training and all that background are moving more towards functional medicine. We're seeing it more and more. My son Michael, who's an NTP, works in an office with a doctor. And it's amazing to see the synergy, when all these disciplines are brought, in a more natural way to heal the body. Because our bodies are absolutely amazing what they can do if we give them the right nutrition.
Yeah. Yeah, perfect combination.
Yeah. So let's get to some phone calls. Let's start off in Ohio. Ben, welcome to the program.
Hello, Kevin. Hello, Kim. How are you?
Hi there.
Hi. I love eggs and seafood, and I was just wondering, is it possible to eat too much of them?
Well, let me just address that statement on the surface without knowing any details. It's possible to eat or drink too
Okay.
much of anything. You can actually kill yourself with water alone, and I don't mean drowning. There are cases of people drinking so much water that they dilute the mineral balance in their blood and it kills them. So the answer is, yeah, you can eat too much of anything. Now, where that limit is, it's hard to say. It's not so much that I would worry about you eating too many eggs or too much seafood. What I would worry about is because you're eating so much of those, you're probably not getting enough variety in your diet. I don't think the amount you're eating is going to hurt you. I just think that you may not be getting enough variety in your diet.
Okay. I get it. That makes a lot of sense. Because my father said something to me about it, and because I have a habit of eating every day, I'll go to like a diner or something, order about 7 or 8 scrambled eggs with cheddar cheese and sour cream on the side.
Well, let me tell you what I see the bigger problem there is. Not that you're eating 7 or 8 eggs. That really doesn't bother me much at all. It's the quality of the eggs you're eating.
I see. Gotcha.
Because the eggs at the diner, clearly they're food service. They're going to be the lowest possible quality. They were raised in the worst possible conditions. So that's what I see as more of a problem. If you were eating 7 or 8 pastured eggs, chickens really running around out in the grass eating bugs and out in the sunshine, and, then you're getting a ton of nutrient density and you're not getting all the bad stuff that comes from factory farmed chickens and eggs. The same with that cheddar cheese and sour cream. I have nothing against cheese or sour cream, but I do want to watch the quality really closely. And when you're eating at restaurants, you're getting the worst possible quality of almost everything.
Gotcha.
Now, seafood is another example. Seafood can be incredibly healthy. Unfortunately, most of the seafood on the market today is garbage. It is horrible. The factory farming of fish is worse than what we're doing to cows and pigs and chickens. The way they are raising factory farmed fish is horrendous. So I'm a big believer in seafood, but you've got to be very careful about the source and the quality. Like, I try to eat only Alaskan wild-caught seafood because it's the cleanest waters on the planet. It's naturally raised. It hasn't been, hybridized. It's not being fed some weird diet. Even like salmon, we're told how healthy salmon is. But do you realize that the salmon you find in the grocery store would be gray, except they feed the fish coloring so that it comes out that pink-red color?
Yes.
Yeah, that's awful.
Right.
Nobody would eat gray fish. So instead, we give them artificial coloring to make it look better. But if you buy true Pacific wild-caught salmon, because Pacific salmon cannot be farm-raised, so when you buy Pacific varieties of salmon, you're getting wild-caught salmon, and it's that color naturally because it's eating its proper natural diet.
I see. Because I get a lot of my seafood out of, say, Chinese buffets, because they have a wide variety of seafood. So I guess the quality out of those would.
So let's take those 2 words, China and buffet. I can't imagine worse quality, honestly. China is known for the lack of control of their food products. Like, we have no idea. Some of the stuff coming out of China isn't even food. China is notorious for exporting honey that isn't honey at all. It's flavored syrup. And they go to great lengths to hide that fact. They're known for injecting their seafood with all kinds of crap to make it bigger and heavier. They're known for all kinds of chemicals used in their food production. And then buffets, the ways buffets make money is, sure, it's all you can eat, but in order to make that up, they buy at the lowest possible quality and the cheapest price they can get.
Right. Well, I guess I know what I'll be cutting down on.
Yeah, so I don't think it's a matter of you're eating too many eggs or too much seafood. Those are both really nutrient-dense foods. But I think the quality that you're eating of it is horrendous. And, again, we want variety in our diet. You know, there really shouldn't be that many things that we eat that much of every day. And again, it's not that that may be bad, but it means you're not eating much variety. That's the bigger problem. Quality and variety. We'll be right back. Stick around. Kevin Rutherford. Welcome back. I'm Kevin Rutherford. This is Destination Health. Kim is here with me, and we're going to get right back to your calls and questions. Let's go to Washington. Brenda, welcome to the pro. Oop, what happened? Brenda just disappeared. Looks like all the calls just disappeared. If you're on hold with us, if you're on the line, you've got a question, go ahead and press 1 on your phone because they all just disappeared on me. And we'll get to those here in just a minute. You know,
I think it's Blog Talk too, because I've been locked out of the studio ever since we started.
You know, it's been acting up on us, and you know, for some reason, it was always worse on Tuesdays when I did the Power Hour. So I actually got a tech support team from Blog Talk to monitor my show yesterday, and of course, nothing went wrong.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Because we've been fighting this on and off, and, you know, they agreed there could be something wrong, but so far we can't track it down. I will address her question because I saw it on the board. It was, how do you know who is a functional medicine doctor? And that's a good question. They will promote themselves as a functional medicine doctor is one way. I mean, you know, some of them are clearly very well known. We talked about Dr. Mark Hyman. But it was interesting because when she asked the question, I hadn't really thought about that a lot, so I Googled it. And I came up with a great list, and it's from Dr. Axe. You know, I recommend his site for so many things. He does an amazing job on his website. He has a list, and I just pulled it up, and I haven't even had a chance to go through it yet.
I see.
The top 50 functional and integrative medical doctors. What a great list. And some of these people I've never even heard of.
Yeah.
So
I see in her pictures that Kelly Brogan and Mark Hyman. Will Cole, I know. Yeah, this is interesting.
Yeah, Stephen Gundry. A lot of these I do know. Kellyanne Petrucci, David Ludwig, Sarah Ballantyne. I do recognize a lot of these. But this is a great list.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great article, too, by the way.
Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead and post that one up on Facebook because I know that was her question and we lost it. But, And this is really a growing field. It's growing fast. Like I said, I didn't even realize this list existed, and there are a lot of doctors in there I don't know. But this, I believe this really is the future of medicine. Our medical system is broken. I've talked about this before. We keep arguing about health insurance. And the Democrats really want to take us to a single payer plan. It's the last thing I want to see. The Republicans, I don't think their plan is any better, honestly. It's better than single payer, but it's not going to fix the problem. And the problem, I believe, is we will never be able to fix health insurance until we fix health care. And people mix the two up all the time. They talk about the two as though they're the same, and they couldn't be any more different. One is our actual care, and the other one is how we pay for that care. They're two totally different issues. But I don't believe that we will ever fix health insurance because I don't think there's enough money to fix it, because our health care system is so broken and so expensive. And I believe that the sooner you get involved in our healthcare system and the longer you stay involved in it, the less healthy you're going to become and the more money you're going to cost the system.
Yeah, I agree. And like you said, the whole thing with the functional medicine, what is it that Chris Kessler is doing? The non-conventional, building the group, kind of like Michael is in.
Right.
Is just such a well-rounded program. I mean, that's hopefully that's the best we can do, working towards a better answer.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that model, and that's what Chris Kresser is really pushing for and training people for and educating people, is that, ultimately, I think if we take kids, children, and we feed them real food, which is, almost unheard of, I don't think we would have to change much of anything. I just think they would live a much, much healthier life. We would solve a lot of problems for future generations if that's all we did. Forget all the functional medicine doctors and testing and supplements and drugs. And if we just started feeding our children real whole food, if they ate 100% real whole food, nothing processed, and I know that's Pollyanna, and that's not going to happen. But if we did, I think we could forget all this other stuff. I think it would solve itself for the most part. But since that's...
Wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah, it really would. But without that, we do have a lot of sick people, and we're not going to eat, we're not all going to eat real food all the time. So this idea of a functional medicine doctor who has a full medical degree and all that knowledge leading the team of, possibly a chiropractor, a nutritional therapy practitioner, maybe integrating, yoga, meditation, acupuncture, some of the, Eastern medical practices, Ayurvedic practices. If we put all those in one place, I think we could solve a lot of problems without any drugs or very limited drug use.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, insurance won't pay for most of that stuff, which again is totally backwards. If insurance companies really wanted to save money, they would try to make us healthier. But nothing about our health care system or our health insurance system is designed to keep us healthy. Nothing. They're both designed to keep us as sick patients, because that's how they both make money.
Yeah, that's why we have to take such control of our own, truly.
Yep.
And you hear that with people calling in, like Christine, it was with the sleep. They know, and they're searching and asking questions, and that's the first place to start. It
is. And dig in and read. You're going to have to read lots of things because you're going to find a lot of conflicting evidence. Kim, and I've talked about this before, but I think it's worth saying again, because there is so much conflicting evidence. And you'll hear conflicting ideas from people with lots of credentials, lots of experience, and what they believe is lots of proof. You and I do it. we'll say, well, we've studied this, or I researched this, or here's the proof, or here's the study. Well, I know that I could go find 10 studies that would contradict what that says. I know they're out there. So how do you know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who do you trust? You can't just trust me. You can't really trust anybody. I mean, so the only thing I've been able to really fall back on is if I'm not sure, if there's just so much conflicting evidence, I believe we fall back on how did we evolve? Why are we so sick right now? We're so sick right now because we're not living the way we evolved. And so any time I wonder, does this make sense? Would this be right? All the way down to the most complicated issues, or more controversial, like vaccines. Well, I mean, if vaccines are so critical, how did we live for, 1 million years without them? We didn't evolve with vaccines. We were naturally vaccinated because we were exposed to a virus or a pathogen, and we had a healthy immune system that fought it off and then learned, and developed antibodies, which that's what vaccines do. They just do it in an artificial way, and that creates a lot of problems. And people will say, well, but vaccines solved so many of the problems like smallpox and polio. Yes and no. The vaccines did solve that, but what created that problem? We didn't have polio epidemics 1,000 years ago. We had them a couple hundred years ago, and it was civilization that created the problem in the first place. It was us living in horrible, crowded city conditions before we had sanitation and so many other things. So, yeah, I agree. Vaccines solved a lot of problems, but it didn't fix the root of the problem.
Right. And I love how you always go back to that, Kevin. And you always bring me back to it too. I get off track, and you always bring it back to, okay, how do we evolve? The simplicity of it. Through all different things, from what we eat to, like you said, how we move and get out there and get grounded, get the sun, and you've simplified it for those that get confused.
It's the only, I have to keep things simple. If they get too complicated, I get lost. So I have to simplify things, and this is one of the most complicated issues I've ever studied or researched, our body and our health. And you could get so lost in the weeds of complication over this, and opinions and facts and proof or not proof. And all I can do is say, how did we evolve? And I just believe if we get closer back to the way we evolved, we're going to solve most of our problems. And I know that's not easy, but being sick and dying and taking a lot of drugs is not easy either.
Right.
So I prefer this alternative.
Exactly.
That's going to do it.
Exactly.
We're going to have to wrap this. Nope. We're going to come back for another segment. Stick around. We'll be right back. I'm Kevin Rutherford. Welcome back. I'm Kevin Rutherford. This is Destination Health. We're going to get back to your calls here in just a second. Kim, can I vent again?
Please, you don't do it much.
I just
at least on this show.
I know. I think I vented about this last week on this show, though, but I didn't learn. I don't mind making mistakes, but when you make a mistake, you should learn from it. And I didn't learn. Last week, I think I vented about, I've been very, very active in Facebook lately, trying to help out, answer questions in a lot of groups. And I think I vented about, I gave this long, thoughtful answer on somebody's post, and then they deleted the entire post, and I was furious that, I put all that time in it. And it was one of those days where I was really busy. I saw it, was going to ignore it and just move on because I had so much to do. And I thought, no, you know what? This really deserves an answer. So I was just furious when it happened again this morning. I don't know. I've got to get into the habit of copying my text and saving it so that at least I could go repost it, on my own page where somebody can't delete it. Because again, somebody was in a group and they were basically trying to spam the group. They were trying to sell something. And I wrote a long, reply, not attacking them at all, just warning people to be careful about certain things in business. And within 10 minutes, it was deleted. And the whole post. And I need to learn that if I'm going to write something that long, at least just copy the text so I have my work. Because I hate writing anyway. I've said that 1,000 times. I hate typing. I speak better than I write. But I do believe that Facebook is a great resource, and I do enjoy helping people there. But, God, that just makes me crazy.
Yeah, wow.
If you post something and somebody, twice now it's happened in this same group. And I hesitated getting involved in this group, but it's the people who need the most help. It's actually a group called Lease Operator Support, I think. So it's people that are considering going into lease purchase programs. And that's such, that's such a lousy area anyway. And I thought, you know what, do I really want to get in here and get involved? I'm going to get dragged into these. And I thought, no, they need help, so I'm going to help them. But that's twice now in that group. I've had somebody delete their entire post. So
that's crazy.
I know. If you disagree with what I say, then disagree with it. I don't care. But don't delete everything because then everybody loses the benefit of what was there. Tell me why you disagree with it or prove me wrong. But don't just delete the whole thing. So that's my rant for the day.
Okay.
I guess I'm going to need to fix that one. And like I said, if nothing else, I just got to get in the habit of copying, the text